Empress Royalty, we are strategically partnered to create value through gold and silver investments. Forward-looking statements, I encourage you to look at our website in more detail for these. So Empress, we are a new precious metals royalty and streaming creation company. We started trading on the TSXV under the symbol EMPR in December and on the OTC in February. Our initial portfolio consists of 15 royalty and streaming investments, and we're focused on building a strong portfolio of cash-producing assets, negotiating over $75 million now of potential investments. Our strategic relationships with Endeavour Financial out of London and Terra Capital out of Australia provide global mining finance networks to generate deal flow. We have exclusive access to Mexican royalty and streaming deals through a strategic alliance we signed with Ascendo Banco in August. Over 250 years of proven management and board experience in mining finance with over $6 billion of completed transactions. So a very strong mining finance focused team at Empress. Here I'm sure we've seen a chart seen this before, how royalty companies typically outperform the price of gold. Here we're looking at a 10-year chart. Initial rapid growth. So a typical cycle of a new royalty company begins with an initial entry to market, followed by rapid growth. We believe at Empress, with our strategic partnerships and the pipeline of opportunities we have, we're going to be able to quickly accelerate into that stage 2 of rapid growth. Now I'm going to talk about our partners. Again, it's Endeavour Financial in London, Terra in Australia, and Ascendo Banco in Mexico. My background, I'm ex-PwC. I joined Endeavour Financial as an analyst, ended up opening the London office and being director of structured finance. So working with my old team, I have access to the cash flow modelers, financial analysts, mining engineers, geologists. Endeavour not only helps us identify and negotiate deals, but structure. They've had huge experience globally in South America and Africa. And the managing director of Endeavour Financial, David Rhodes, is also our executive chairman and chairman of our investment committee. We signed a strategic alliance with Ascendo Banco. Ascendo Banco is an active investor and lender in the Mexican mining industry. They have over 200 employees, 13 different offices. They have 30 different mining companies that are their clients in Mexico. So this gives us a fantastic opportunity to find projects. And a great example of how this relationship works is Ascendo Banco will provide a debt facility. Say the project needs 10 million, they'll provide a facility for 7. We'll come alongside of them for that additional 3 million. Our third partner is Terra Capital, run by Jeremy Bond, who's also one of our directors. Terra has become one of the best performing boutique fund managers in the country. And this gives us access to Australian deals, Australian listed companies with projects internationally, as well as the fact that Jeremy's been an investor in the capital market space, the natural resource space for 10 years in Canada. So it gives us a great capital markets network. All 3 partners and management and board own 55% of Empress. So very much in line with the shareholders who see value and growth in this company. Shifting into our investment focus, what we're looking for our investments. We're looking at development and production stage projects. We're looking at small to mid-tier companies, both public and private. We're looking purely at gold and silver, so very much a precious metals focus. Location is global. Investment size anywhere from $500,000 to 20 million. The sweet spot for us right now is at 1 to 10 million. So our portfolio, we currently have 15 investments. I'll talk a little about Manica and Pinos in a moment. And we also have 13 early stage gold exploration royalties in Canada. We've got 1 investment in progress, which is 2 more actually moving into that. So it's actually 3 investments in progress and additional ones that we're looking at in our pipeline. When I say investments in progress, these are ones we have exclusivity on, term sheets signed, due diligence is underway, and documentation is commenced. The first one I want to talk about, we completed in November. This is Candelario's Pinos project in Zacatecas, Mexico. This was a $1.5 million US investment for Empress for a 1% royalty across the entire project. There's currently a 7-year mine life on this on the project, but there's potential for mine life extension. This is just 1 vein on 7 on this project. So we're excited to see what Candelaria is going to be doing with this project in the near term. The second royalty we just announced a week ago was the Manica Gold royalty. This was a $2 million investment for a 2.25% royalty into MMP's project in Mozambique. This one should be in production in Q3 2021. So this should be bringing revenue to Empress this year. It has a 3-year mine life plan that's based upon one of the deposits. There's 3 additional satellite deposits that will be able to feed into this and give it a longer life. The IRR is 37%, and the annual cash flow to Empress is $1.2 million US a year. As I mentioned, we have an exploration portfolio. 3 of the interesting ones of this is the Windfall East project in Quebec, the Destiny project now being operated by Clarity, and then there's the Oxford Gold project run by Big Ridge in Manitoba. One of our investments in progress, which is also recently announced, is the Telson Talaweto project. This would be a $5 million silver stream for us. Talaweto would hopefully be in production the end of this year, beginning of next. We've got a 10-year stream life. The annual cash flow is $2.5 million for us and a 68% IRR. This one's a great example of us coming alongside Ascendo Banco. Ascendo is providing a $12 million debt facility. We're providing $5 million silver stream, and there's been an equity component raised. So it gives a full funding solution to the company to move this project forward. When we look at our pipeline, it's always a combination for us of royalty and streams, and it's very much the creation of those. We're not a third party, we're not a royalty trading company. We're not a third party royalty acquisition company. We're very much on creating solutions for mining companies. We're looking in Peru, Kenya. In Peru and Kenya, both of those 2 are advanced now. We've got exclusivity on them. Both of those are in production. So these can bring immediate cash flow to Empress. We're looking in Ghana, Mexico, Australia, a couple other countries as well. Again, most are in production, gold and silver, and the investments range from 1 million to 10 million. A couple of those a little bit higher. When we look at our valuation, this is when we looked at Elemental, Sailfish, Trident, Eli, and Box, and what our base revenue would be based upon Manica, Telson, and Pinos. Looking at 2022, you can see where there's some significant value that could be there. Our management, as our board of directors, David Rhodes, our chairman from Endeavour, myself, Jeremy, as I mentioned, director from Terra Capital. We have Paul Mainwaring, a CFA from London, Rick, a geologist in Vancouver, and Wes Roberts, a mining engineer in Toronto. We also have Rich, who's joined us. Richard's joined us as VP Americas in New York, and then Dan and Doris, seasoned corporate governance specialists. So when we look at our capital structure, we have about $6 million in cash. We've got no debt, currently 72 million shares outstanding, no warrants, no options. Endeavour, Terra, Ascendo, board and management own 55%. And in our last financing, institutional investors came in for about 20%. So what have we achieved to date? We acquired the initial 13 gold exploration royalties in July. We spun Empress out. In August, we signed the strategic alliance with Ascendo Banco. We did a small founders financing to bring in our partners, being Endeavour, Terra, and Ascendo. We then did a pre-listing financing where we raised $8 million in November. We completed the Candelaria royalty as well in November. And then we started trading the TSXV December, just completed the Manica royalty and started trading on the OTC. So now we're focused on continuing to build our portfolio. In summary, we are a newly listed early stage precious metals royalty and streaming creation company, currently with 15 investments. We're very much focused on the creation of financing solution for mining company partners. We've got a pipeline with over 75 million of cash generating potential investments. We have strong management relationships with Endeavour, Terra, and Ascendo. And we're focused on creating their shareholder value by generating revenue through investments and getting in a position where we can establish a dividend policy. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
what is your outlook? And you did address this a bit in your presentation, outlook for deal flow for Empress. I'd like to see if you can comment a bit more on that, but also you're at I think, a valuable position in the market for our viewers, and that you're seeing deal flow in the broader market at large, and if money is still available despite this recent correction. So if you could comment on, first off, Empress and your deal flow, what you're looking at, and the broader market. Is there still activity out there, still interest? And has all of that been affected much by this 2-month-old, more severe correction, and really 7-month-old correction in the gold price?
In terms of the Empress deal flow, we obviously are working on the transactions I mentioned at the moment. So we're seeing a lot of opportunity. It means we're getting in, as the word's getting out about us and within our network, we're just seeing more and more opportunity out there. With regards to the gold price and commodity prices, I think some of the opportunities, some newer opportunities have been coming up to us in the last couple of weeks, have been situations where companies don't want to raise as much equity because their share prices come off or whatever it is, which then opens up more opportunity to do a stream or a royalty to kind of move them further along. So we're seeing more opportunity through this phase. And I think with our business model, we're able to adjust whether the prices are good or the prices are slightly off. We're able to work in both environments. So it's quite robust for us that way.
That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. So actually it's benefited you a bit in that mix when somebody's trying to raise money for debt, equity, streams, royalties is shifting a bit because of the drop in prices, perhaps shifting a bit in your advantage.
Yeah, and it's more what we can be able to bring to it. So, maybe we were looking before at a $2 million stream. Now they're talking about adding another $1 million on for a royalty because they don't want to raise as much of the prices where they're at. So those opportunities present itself when the market's going strong. Then they're able to raise the equity, and then they just need that little bit more to go. So we kind of work in both sides of it. Again, we're just seeing a lot of deal flow right now.
Yeah, and I guess that's the advantage too, of being right at the crux of the financing and arranging the financing deals along with your partners and creating those royalties. So
yeah, and because we're looking at other projects that are near-term production or in production, just need to expand. They need to be able to make the decisions quickly and are looking for the capital now. So it's much more of a now thing for us and the groups that we're working with.
I think we were all very pleased, if not a bit frightened, to see Empress soar out of the gate and essentially double in price within days, and come back from that now. So one of our readers is asking if you could comment on that recent whipsaw in your share price. I know that it has to be somewhat encouraging that the market at some point thought your company was worth twice what it is today, which seems to make the path back up that much easier. But were there any other factors involved that you've been able to find for that the way the share price just soared right out of the gate like that?
Yeah, I mean, we did the direct listing at the end of December, and finally we were able to get out there and start telling our story and bring some awareness to the company. I think what we've experienced in the last 10 days has been a free trading paper that was from the previous financing when we were private. So that sort of hit the market at the moment. But in terms of our business strategy, it hasn't changed. In fact, it's grown. We were originally looking at 3 projects that were investments in progress when we went out to raise the initial capital. We've delivered on 2 of those. We're very close in the 3rd. I brought 2 more projects that'll be in production very soon. So we really are building our company out right now to have revenue coming in at the end of the year and have some significant revenue next year. So it's definitely been a bit of a ride, but we are sticking to our plan. We're delivering on everything we're saying we put out, like we're trying to do, and we're just building our business model. So it's still very early days for us, but I definitely think the last free trading papers have something to do with it. And we're just going to stay steady on how we're going to deliver and continue to deliver.
Yes, and of course, that is a key thing that investors need to look at. When I say it's an inefficient market, share structure and paper coming free, that's one of the primary things you look for as an investor in this sector. Is timing is everything. And if you can find these artificial weak spots in a share price curve, as it were, you can take advantage of it. And it looks like a real buying opportunity, especially for me to get into a really well-backed royalty company right at the beginning. I'd like to see if we can take advantage of having you on this panel and your unique position in the market, dealing with developers and also growing a royalty company. Can you comment a bit on royalties versus streams, both from your point of view, if you have a preference either way, what the advantages or disadvantages are, and how the developers look at that, weigh that one way or the other as far as a source of cash for their development?
So with a royalty, it's when we're providing an investment into a company, and then we're getting future percentage of revenue in the future. With a stream, we're providing the same kind of capital, but then we're getting a percentage of the gold or silver at a discounted price. So they're very similar, but they're quite different. Typically, a royalty agreement is a little bit more simpler to document, a little bit more complex with a stream. We're finding that we're kind of doing a combination of both, where there's a stream for a certain period of time, and then it can step down to a royalty. It also depends on the jurisdiction. What's more tax effective. So there's, again, different variants that go with it. Some projects are already overcome with quite a few royalties on them already. So a stream would therefore make more sense, but it's very much bespoke. And when we're looking at different companies of what they already have around them, what constraints they have, what vision they have for the future, what other groups they're working with. So we're kind of able to slot alongside of what they're doing, and each situation we're looking at is quite different. And you'll see that as more deals come out from us, how different each one and unique each one, and how we structure each one.
Yeah, the strength of your partners and strategic partners, I think is very important, obviously, but the fact is demonstrated, illustrated by the fact that you're able to get that royalty in Mozambique of all places, which is, I think it's safe to say, is a bit of an undiscovered region for mining. And that's a private company that you have the royalty with?
Yeah, so the project in Mozambique is a private company. It's right along the Zimbabwe border. This has been a long-term one we've been looking at. So we were actually looking at it to do a $10 million one about a year ago, before we kind of spun Empress into what it is now. The group ended up selling, so we got a whole technical team out there to site pre-COVID, so we were quite lucky in that in terms of our due diligence. And then the company itself, just the timing of COVID, they sold some other assets, so there was only an opportunity for us to come in for the $2 million. And Mozambique, I mean, it's got $15 billion worth of money going into LNG right now in the country. It's one of the biggest investments ever into an African nation. So a lot of comfort obviously comes with that, in terms of where Mozambique is now and where it's going to grow as a country.
Yeah, and the advantage, again, of a royalty company is you don't take on a lot of the hassles and risks of an operating company. And you can leave it to the locals to go ahead to handle those as best they can and just collect the money at the end.
Yeah, are able to keep our costs quite low.
Right. Thank you all for joining us today and for this panel. Really appreciate your input. And let's hope this correction ends very soon if it has not already. Thank you so much.